What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Training Camp. It's the podcast where three roommates just said, hey, we talk about sports so dang much. Let's just throw it on a podcast, see if anybody listens. Today is a very special episode. A very special episode because we're finally recording on video. Everybody say, what's up?
What's up?
What's up?
And you can finally find us on YouTube at the Training Camp Podcast. I know a couple of you out there were really requesting a video version of the podcast, so we put it on, and y'all can go listen to us. Make sure you go check out the link, in our Instagram at the Training Camp Podcast, and go check us out. Griffin, what's going on, man? Introduce our special guest.
What is up, boys? Good to be back for another podcast, another week. Coming at you a day late, but we're here.
Episode 5.
Episode 5, man. We're rolling along. Thanks, everybody, for listening. What's up to all you people watching on YouTube, all you dedicated fans? We appreciate it. Yeah, we got Pink Whitney's in, boys, as you mentioned, a beard. If you don't know what it is, it's this pink lemonade-flavored vodka that we're all super excited about. It was supposed to come out September 1st, but we finally got it last week. A little bit of a delay.
And it's special. It's special. Our hockey friends over at Barstool Sports, Spittin' Chicklets, were developing this vodka for a long time. And if you guys follow Barstool or Spittin' Chicklets, you guys know what we're talking about. We picked up, what is it, like 6 bottles?
Well, we each got 3, so we got 9.
We each got 3, so we got 9 bottles.
We're not sure if it's going to be a temporary thing or a permanent thing, so we went ahead and picked up. Yeah, so we stocked up. It's not like we're going crazy. We're just making sure we have some to last.
The day University Liquors in Knoxville finally got it, me and Jack drove over there, walked in, and they said, oh, look, the Pink Whitney's boys are here.
Well, we walked in and we saw the black cases, and we're like, oh, no, shit, Will, I don't think they're here. And then we saw them in the back, and we're like, oh, yes.
Yeah, they all know because we've been bothering them about it for a while now. We've been calling, stopping by.
Griff, hand me the box. Keep on going.
So we were the first ones to buy it from them. They referred to us as the Pink Whitney's boys, so shout out. It's amazing. We like it with club soda and ice, or just ice and
or
let
just
it melt
straight up.
a little. We're still experimenting.
It was actually funny because they recognized y'all when y'all walked in, and then I went like 30 minutes after y'all to get one, and I walked in and they said, oh, your boys have already been here this morning. We were the only 3 that had bought it that day so far.
And that's weird because we don't go in there all that often.
No,
we just annoyed them so much about it.
Yeah, we're like, hey, do you have them? Do you have them? Do you have them?
Yeah.
We cleared out 9 handles by 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, something like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, we just... and guys, for those of you at home, I'm going to pull it out right here. You guys can go check us out on YouTube at The Training Camp Podcast. The bottle is sick. I don't know if you guys can see it much on YouTube. I'm sorry if the quality is bad, but the bottle is sick. I mean, the Spittin' Chicklets guys did a great job designing it, and especially, like, it's a pink lemonade-flavored vodka made by hockey guys. Like, that's so odd to me.
I know. I feel like I've gotten made fun of people saying it's a girl drink and all that stuff. But like, man, it's good, and Hockey Boys created it, so it's for men and women, all flavors out there.
And really not having to mix it that much, like I would say after 1 glass, you're starting to feel it. Like it's a great design, and I think it's goal accomplished for them. We love it.
I love it. Well, guys, again, we're recording this on YouTube, and I've plugged it like 3 times already, but go check out our Instagram at The Training Camp Podcast, and you can check us out. The video link will be on YouTube. And this is just a learning week for us. We don't know if the quality is going to be all that great. I'll know when I put it in the edit later on this week and get it up. But leave us some feedback. Please rate us on Apple and Spotify. And if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a like. That's how I'll know that our production value is there. Or just leave us a comment. Say, hey, man, like zoom in a little. Or, hey, man, couldn't really see that.
Right.
Just leave us the comments, yeah?
And if you prefer to listen to it, I'd still urge you to go check out at least one video, see the setup. It's a work in progress. We think it looks cool. And, yeah.
Well, we're going to dive right on in here into the sports, starting off on Saturday's game, noon at the Swamp. Falls taking on the Gators. Wow. Somebody want to start it off? I can't.
I think the score, 34-3, I think. I'll just put that out there. But I think that's exactly why Beard and I did not want to make our predictions last week. We didn't make vol predictions for score, but...
Willingly.
Yeah, because we knew it was going to be something like that. So, I mean, I don't really have much to say. I don't think it was a surprise to anyone. Will, were you surprised? Or
I was not surprised. I think we started out all right. it was bad. It's first big play of the game, that deep ball. Nigel's not even looking up. If he looks up, we pick it off. First drive of the game, momentum's in our pocket, and it just went downhill from there, really.
Here's something that I thought was interesting is that I thought for once our O-line actually improved a lot.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And let me go on with this. I think this exposes JG even more. I think all of the critics were like, man, well, he doesn't even have a pocket to throw out of. And now I think he got enough a time in that pocket, and especially that throw to Wood Anderson. Oh,
God bless,
dude.
man.
Well, I mean, he threw that ball way behind him, had a clean pocket, no DB in sight, just aired it out.
I mean, that was an 80-yard touchdown if he completed that.
Yeah, there was a tweet. It said 9 out of 10 high school quarterbacks could have hit that. Maybe 8 out of 10, but still, there's no excuse.
I think I could have made that.
I was going to say I have confidence all three of us could have made that throw. Even
he
you
probably
will,
had 10 yards on every side of him, and he flew him horribly.
Which begs the question, put me and JG up on those football throwing machines at Dave & Buster's, I think I'd win.
But honestly, while we're on the subject about quarterback, I think Maurer, I know he missed a few throws, but he's a true freshman being put in the middle of a game against Florida. I'd say it's Maurer time. We got a mailbag question about it from my friend Tristan, and
we'll go into it. We'll hit a mailbag early. Pull it up.
He said,
we'll figure out what is it? Tristan Pisacani?
No.
Oh man, shout out Tristan Pisacani. If you're
It's
listening.
Tristan from Richland this summer.
Okay, shout out Tristan
one of my
from
shout-outs.
Richland.
He said, "Is it time for Garantano to take a seat for good after last game?" And I said, "I would think personally. I think Maurer looks good. Maurer wants to throw the ball. Maurer's legs extend plays, which behind our inconsistent O-line is amazing.
Yeah,
I know he missed some easy throws, but JG misses easy throws every day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I hate being so negative about the Vols because we all go to school here. Like, we're all diehard Vols fans, and I hate ragging on them. We're really not trying to rag on them. We're just trying to give our unbiased opinions. But,
no, so true.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I feel like it's been 3 years of Garantano now. We know what he's going to be. He only has 1 year left after this season. If Maurer's the future, I mean, let him play now. We've already burned his – it's not like he's going to redshirt this year, so might as well get him the experience this year. We know what Garantano's going to be going forward, and he's probably not going to be it. We don't know if
Has
Maurer's
he burned his
in or
red
not.
shirt? Is it past 3 games or 4 games?
Who?
They actually didn't. The new rule about that. Can you play 4 games?
He can play 4 games, yeah.
Okay,
He can
my
play
bad
4
then.
games and not burn his red shirt, which means that he can play up to. I guess he's done now because bye week's counting that. I believe so. I think it's up to week 4.
Oh, is it up to week 4?
No. You could, because Jalen Hurts last year, you can appear in 4 games.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's something you have to consider then,
Yeah.
too, if you want to play Maurer the rest of the season. That'll
Right,
burn
but it's like, with Harrison Bailey coming in next year, what's to lose by giving Maurer a chance for the rest of the season? Like, we know JG's potential. It's not
I
there.
see what you're saying.
There's nothing to lose.
And to be honest, if Maurer shows out for the rest of the season, it's not like he's gonna get. It's not like JG's gonna get another chance too. Like
No.
for his redshirt senior year, no way.
I mean, I assume if Maurer, they come out and say, even this week or whenever, if they come out and say Maurer's the starter, I'm assuming JG will transfer for next year.
And go where?
Yeah, I mean, probably somewhere smaller. Again, I hate ragging on him, but I think he's just. I don't think it's there with him.
Coastal Carolina, if you need a quarterback.
A smaller school for sure, yeah. But
Let him go play in a league.
Furman.
In a league that's like the Pac-12 or the Big 12, something like not one of the big schools, but one of those smaller schools, and let him see high offense schools where you don't have to. The defense isn't that great, and see what he can do, which maybe is more than what he can do in the SEC. But I would say it's time for Maurer. Let's know what he is before Harrison Bailey comes in and we throw him to the dogs as a true freshman.
yeah, I'd agree. I don't want to get too hyped up on Maurer too because I know he made some good throws, but he made some really risky throws into some triple coverages and not that much playing time. So I don't want to get too hyped up on anyone, but I just assume.
And also, our friend Kyle brought up a good point. Dobbs, who is the best quarterback to come through Tennessee since, I don't know, Eric Ainge, maybe?
In a while, yeah.
In a while. And he was saying that his first game was against Bama. Now we got clapped, but he came in a big game.
He played well.
And he played decently well.
That was when he was actually brought some excitement because Worley couldn't run at all, and then Dobbs came in and was running around everywhere, so it brought some excitement to the game.
It's funny. I think that when I hear Worley's name, I think he's so much older than Dobbs. But really, he like came in.
It's a gunslinger right there.
Exactly, man. Exactly. I mean, and this is tough because I always tell this to Griffin. Whenever I'm watching either the Titans or the Vols, and then I like their game's over, and then other games start up, I'm like, it doesn't even feel like the Vols even play in the same division, in the same conference.
Yeah, you do bring that up a lot. I mean, good point.
But I mean, think about the SEC overall. What are we seeing from like Bama? Kicked the shit out of Southern Miss this year.
Southern Miss, yeah.
Kicked the shit out of Southern Miss. Not like they're any good, but I mean, they handed it to them. Georgia obviously won.
That was a cool game.
That was a very cool game.
Georgia Notre Dame.
Talk to me.
I just thought. I mean, I texted my uncle when I was watching the pregame because I know he went there
To Notre Dame.
to Georgia.
That's right.
Yeah, and it was in Athens. Georgia Notre Dame top 10 matchup. Did you guys see? While the team's running out, I mean, it's a night game. All the fans turned on their flashlights.
Yeah, and the marching band was on the field.
Yeah, marching band was on the field. They turned off the stadium lights. And then,
I did see that. It was all like
I'd never seen that in my life.
Yes, and it was like going around.
Yes, and it's like these red lights flashing with everyone's cell phone light on as the team's running into the stadium. I just thought it was, and smoke's
It's
going
kind of
off.
like what we do for basketball.
Yeah.
What Tennessee does for basketball.
Very much like that.
But with 4 times as many people in an outdoor stadium at night, that's
I thought it was
so
awesome.
sick.
I thought it was that video was kind of funny because it looked like a marching band member like whipped out their phone like while they're on the field and filmed it with everybody.
Yeah.
But dude, that would be sick. The only problem is we need a good team in order to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if we do that and Georgia comes in here and dog walks us, that'll be the highlight of everybody's night.
Did y'all see that? Actually, I showed it to you just not an hour ago, but it was like the last 24 games of all of the SEC.
Oh yeah.
And it was like Bama is 22-2, and Tennessee is second to last at 7-17 in our last 24 games. The only team that have it worse, Arkansas, and they're like 4-19. Is that good math?
I think they
4-18.
Were they
4-23. How many games was it? 24?
Yeah,
4-20.
Dang it.
Math.
It's tough for us here on the Training Camp podcast. Yeah, but Tennessee, second worst team in the SEC in the last 24 games. That's 2
Brutal.
years. That's 2 years.
Brutal, but not surprising.
But I mean, then again, that's all Pruitt era, yeah, and like the end of Butch.
I mean,
yeah, pretty much. I guess it's a little leftover Butch, and then
probably a little
a year and a half of Pruitt.
The interim. Who was the interim after Butch? Brady Hoke. Yeah, he coached a few games. He's in there.
Oh, that was that LSU downpour. You remember that?
Yes.
Oh, that was fun.
The monsoon
and
home.
like half the stadium lights went out.
Yeah.
They played when it rains, it pours. When it was literally, you
pouring.
couldn't see. You couldn't see straight.
If you guys were at that LSU game, comment on our last picture on the Training Camp podcast at the Training Camp podcast and tell us like how much water was in your boots afterwards. I remember we walked back to the car and we were squishing and squashing like all the way to the parking garage, and then we took off our boots and like I'm not even joking, like a cup of water came out.
Oh yeah,
not a measuring cup, like
like
Will's glass, like you could pour it out.
Were you wearing your duck boots?
Yeah, I was wearing my duck boots.
I took mine off because my feet were so wet. I was standing. me and Kyle were standing in the stadium barefoot, just soaking wet.
Dude, Kyle was wild too. It was kind of cold that game.
There was people taking their shirts off,
and Kyle was like down to his boxers, or like down to his jean shorts.
It's at that point, like when it's raining literally sideways. I mean, your body's gonna be wet whether you're clothed or not. So people were taking their shirts off and stuff.
That's one of my best memories of Tennessee football, and that's sad.
Really?
We still
not
lost
Florida
the game?
Not
no,
Florida
I'm saying
freshman year?
one of my best, not the best.
Are you talking about like bad Vols memories?
Yeah.
We got plenty of those.
Bad Vols memories. That's all right. Well, let's make our predictions for the rest of the year for not Tennessee, but for the SEC overall. What are we going to see out of the SEC championship game? Is it going to be another Bama Georgia matchup? What's up?
I think two things. I think it's probably going to be another Bama-Georgia matchup, which, I mean, is always a great matchup. I hope Georgia beats them this time.
Honestly, this is the first time I'm going for Fromm.
Yeah, I mean, I usually go for Georgia in that matchup, and they always come close. But other thing is, I think Bama and LSU is going to be one of the closer games this season. And I also think...
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And I also think Bama, Auburn, Iron Bowl is going to be a hell of a game.
Is it in Death Valley, or is it over at Bryant-Denny? Do we know?
LSU?
Yeah.
I feel like they played at LSU last year. I'm going to say it's at Bama.
I'm going to look it up.
I think they were at LSU last year, but I got a little different perspective. I think Bo Nix is going to get eaten by Bama's defense. That kid's
That's true. I forgot about that.
He's not great.
No,
he's
man.
not horrible. He's not great though. He's a true freshman, and he barely beat Oregon, mostly because of their defense.
But Oregon's pretty good, and Oregon's defense is good.
And he just beat A&M in College Station.
That is true, but
That's not hard after Jim. Like, I don't think Jimbo's done a good job with that program.
I don't know. I think once he gets all his players in there and they get settled, they could be good. But
I hope I can say the same thing about Pruitt.
my dark horse is. Have y'all watched the game at LSU this year?
No.
Joe Burrow has that team high flying. You know how LSU is usually run the ball, play insane defense,
Yeah.
can't throw. They finally have a quarterback. The dude can throw.
Shoot.
I think if Bama's not careful, that it could be LSU Georgia in the SEC championship.
So they just played Vandy this Saturday, right?
Yeah.
And they put 60, 59 on them, something like that.
I saw that, but correct me if I'm wrong. They also allowed Vandy to score like 24.
Yeah, no, Vandy did put 24 on him, which is concerning for a usual LSU defense. But I mean, I'm not worried. It's early season, and if they're putting
66
59
to 38.
38.
66 to 38.
I mean, Vandy scored 38 on him. That's just my only concern.
that is true. But
yeah, but at that point in time, if you're just churning and like your offense cannot sorry, what am I trying to say? Your offense can't not score.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even that worried about my defense.
your defense
defense-
has probably been on the field the entire game,
They're just
and
going so fast. Yeah.
and if you can put 66 on an SEC defense, I don't care if it's Vandy. If you can put 66 on an SEC defense, like you're insane offense. Like
I mean, that's still an SEC team. It's a wannabe
an SEC team that's not.
They're better than us.
They're better than us.
Arkansas or Tennessee.
Speaking of, I was gonna say, did you guys see in Sunday Night Football, Odell came on, and they say their name and their college, and they keep on going. And so Odell went to LSU. For those of you who don't know, I assume that if you're listening to the Training Camp podcast, you might know that. And so usually they go, Jack Beard, Tennessee, and then they go on. And Odell, he goes, OBJ, I'm him. I'm just like, what, dude?
Brain guy now that
says
he's in
something that he
boring
would say,
Cleveland.
I mean, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to have a Bama Georgia roundup, but who do you think they're going to meet in the playoffs? Who are we seeing around college football that might be able to shove it? Oregon, obviously.
They're solid. I don't know if they're going to make the playoff. The one thing I do hope is last year I was really disappointed when Bama and Georgia played in the SEC championship, and Georgia gave them a run for their money. I think they had the lead in the fourth quarter. Alabama ended up squeaking it out, and Georgia didn't make it into the 14 playoff. I mean, they lost to Bama barely in the SEC championship.
That was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got fifth.
If you are hanging with Bama until the last second of the fourth quarter, you're a top 4 team. You should be in. That's the only thing that made me mad last year. But if you're talking playoff, I think it's going to be the Clemson, Bama, Georgia. The fourth one's probably up for grabs. What do you guys think?
Let me just tell you this one thing about Georgia or about Oregon really quick is that after they lost to that season opener, Oregon Auburn, like that's like almost like a playoff type game, especially when you're playing in like the primetime game in the first week. Like that's a big game.
I agree.
But after they lost to Auburn and Bo Nix really went off in that second half, but after that, listen to these scores: Oregon beat Nevada 77-6.
Oh, it's Nevada.
And then they go on to play Montana, beating them 35-3. And then they go on to this week beating Oregon 21-6. So after they gave up 20,
who'd they beat? Sorry, you said they beat. You're
Stanford.
talking about Stanford. Okay.
Yeah. And so after they gave up 27 points to Auburn, they gave up 6-12. They gave up 15 points in the last 3 weeks.
That's a great defense.
That's a
college
great
football.
defense.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think they could be a dark horse for that fourth team playoff.
Yeah, I get that,
fourth
yeah.
playoff team.
So
for sure.
this is what sucks for me. It's like Clemson pretty much already has it locked in. Clemson always has a close game they almost drop every year. I know this was before Trevor Lawrence, but like every year I feel like they get surprised by one team and almost lose and pull it out.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, they play nobody that's threatening. So I think Clemson locks a spot.
Did we even talk about Oklahoma? Did we include Oklahoma in that?
So
I didn't say anything.
I got
Oh my
Oklahoma
God.
coming up.
That's honestly my pick, Jalen Hurts.
Alabama, we know it's I mean, 2, 3, 4 is Alabama, Georgia, LSU. So I think a lot of that depends on the SEC championship and the rest of their season. But I figured probably 2 of them will be in, and then we'll either see an Ohio State or Oklahoma. Another one like the past few years. But Ohio State has a huge test in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is legit this year.
They just killed Michigan. Yeah.
Well, Wisconsin killed Michigan. Yeah.
Well, Michigan's dog.
Well, I mean, they're
dog
not
crap.
What were they ranked? Like 18. I mean, they're not horrible. They're not great, but
Oh my god! But that's like saying that Florida's ranked 9
That's
or
true.
18
Yeah.
or whatever
I
it
guess,
was.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a Florida fan, don't even hope about the college football playoff. Y'all aren't good.
Y'all suck. Sorry.
well, they beat us. So.
But
Well, that's not hard. So
my game I have circled is Wisconsin, Ohio State, Oklahoma. Let's look at their schedule. They have Texas. That'll be a great game. That's always a great game.
Sam Ellinger is a really good QB.
Does that say 9 a.m.? What?
no,
That
Sure,
can't
does it
be
say
right.
9 p.m.
No, it says 9 a.m. on here.
That cannot be right. Google, fix it.
Besides Texas, Oklahoma's got a pretty clear shot at running it too. So it'll be an interesting year again. Same usual teams though.
How do you boys feel about? So, I know the college football playoff committee. As long as we're on this topic, the college football playoff committee puts so much emphasis on these conference championships. Like I
my
talked about
God.
last year, Georgia
Yeah.
barely lost to Bama in the conference championship.
Which is dumb.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They put so much more emphasis on the conference championship than they do the first game of the season. How do you boys, I mean,
Wasn't the
How do y'all feel
14
about
Notre
that?
Dame last year?
yeah, who doesn't even have to play a
That's-
conference championship?
I hate that independent
know.
thing. Like if you're not going to play actual teams, then you can't get in the playoff. But no, I agree. It would have been a better playoff with Georgia, but it would have lined up another Alabama Georgia matchup. Just like a round 2 again.
You have to take strength of schedule into account. I am so sick of these like Pac-10, Pac-12 like teams just like running up scores on no-namers. Meanwhile, like Tennessee, especially when you're like trying to be an SEC team, you don't necessarily have like a high-powered offense like in Oklahoma and Oregon and Ohio State. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that like our 4-game stretch when you go play all the SEC teams is nothing like when you go see like Pac-10, Pac-12 play. Thoughts? Yeah.
I mean, I completely agree. Every SEC team has to go through the middle season gauntlet of a schedule.
God.
But would you guys rather see like an Alabama or a Georgia go undefeated through the entire season, then lose in the SEC championship, and them not make it in, or would you rather see like a middle tier team go undefeated and win their conference championship, even though their strength of schedule is not as good? Like to me, they put so much emphasis on the conference championship, where if a really good team like Georgia loses it barely, then they're not going to make it in, which I just don't like.
I definitely agree. Georgia also lost to LSU earlier that year. I just looked it up. I don't remember this. They lost to LSU earlier that year, 36-16. So I know from the college football playoffs perspective, taking a 2-loss Georgia over a 12-0 Notre Dame or 11-1, whatever they were, is hard to justify, but they don't really play anybody. And the games they do play are like big names and who are not currently good. And we saw that this weekend. Georgia stomped them. Or not stomped them, I guess they beat them clean. But, like, I just don't think – I would rather see Georgia be in there, but it's hard to justify record-wise.
I could see that. I mean, I guess part of it too is just trying to keep one conference from dominating at all. I feel like you could easily say Florida, or not Florida, not Florida, Bama, Georgia, even like LSU. I mean, like there's 3, and LSU is probably good, like you said, is going to be really good.
I mean,
this
right
year.
now we have 3 of the top four college football teams.
I just really think the strength of schedule, and maybe they should even make like a new measurement where like you say top 50 schools or something like that, because like I can't help but see like Ohio State playing these teams like Miami of Ohio and like IU, or even like people in their own conference like Michigan State. They're not like a bad team. They're not a good team. But when you see people like Ohio State running up on Penn State, Michigan State, like they're not,
They're not Bama and Georgia.
they're not Bama and Georgia.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a long way to say what I was trying to
No,
say.
I
you're good.
get what you're saying, though.
I 100% agree. But, yeah, it is hard to justify, especially with a 14 playoff.
Well, if we're talking about geographic areas, I can't help but think to talk about what is the worst geographic area to be a fan of? And I guess that's a very wordy way of putting Vols and Titans suck. And is there a worse combo of a pro and college team that's worse than Tennessee?
In one state?
In one state. In one state or one area?
Or
What
like,
should we do?
or like a logical two teams that are like close to each other. Not like I'm a
like
Brown-
Dolphins, Miami.
Yeah, like no,
Like-
Miami can't complain.
Yeah. Miami would smack UT.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like the geographic area thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
I get
down
what you're saying.
to like South Florida.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can we think of any?
I was looking at the map before with all like the NFL teams, like thinking about their closest college team, and the only one that made me laugh, which this is completely a joke, but Georgia and the Falcons both blew championship games. Like, I think they were in the same year too. Like that would suck, but I would trade to be in a championship game and lose in the
agreed.
same year than
Agreed.
be the Vols and the Titans in the past 4, 5, 10, 20 years
Our whole lifetimes.
since the day I was born. No, but fans,
You can't even complain about like a Houston and like Texas
no,
type
God,
thing
no.
either.
Yeah.
Like, geez.
Houston had a great year like 2 years ago when they had Herman, and the Texans, they haven't won a Super Bowl, but they've had way more success than we have in the past couple of years.
What was that tweet you showed me, Will? It was like once QBs pass this state line, they just turn to
Oh, yeah.
garbage.
It
And it was
like-
an outline of the state
It
of
was
Tennessee.
the border of Tennessee. Yeah, it seems to be true. Something's in the air. But
Which brings us to our next point. Well, what were you going to say?
let's, listeners, let us know in the comments of our Instagram or YouTube if you can think of a worse two teams to be a fan of, even if it's not the same geological area. Let us know.
Geographical?
Geographical.
Dude,
Yes,
you've had a little bit of trouble with words
English.
today. Yeah. Also, while you guys are listening to this, pause this podcast right now and go give us a like or go give us a rating on Apple Podcast or Spotify. If you're on Spotify, give us a follow and like the podcast. And if you're on Apple, go out to the training camp section of the podcast, scroll down until you see the ratings, and go throw us a 5-star. And a comment. I think I'm the only comment on there right now. go and like say.
I've been trying to think of a clever one.
Go write a comment and say like, yeah, what Jack said.
We don't like having to comment on our own stuff.
We don't
anymore.
like commenting on our own stuff anymore. But yeah, while you're at this, pause the podcast, go and give us a rating, and then we will welcome you back here in 2 seconds. Okay, now that you're back,
Also, we want to start having guests on. So if anybody's in Knoxville and wants to be a guest, send us a message. Tell us why you want to be a guest, and we want to start bringing some friends on, bringing some people on who have different perspectives, different NFL teams, different hockey teams.
Send in a video application of why you think you deserve to be a guest on Training Camp. Podcast.
www.can't training camp podcast casting. Well, okay. Now that we've talked about the worst geographical area, by the way, we still need suggestions. Throw it in our Instagram. Let's talk about our Titans QB, man. For the record, Marcus Mariota did not have a pick again, and still proved to me that he is awful. Sorry, that's very blunt, but come on, give it to me.
Will, I'm letting you go first. That's your boy.
All right, I still don't think I'm completely out on Marcus. He got sacked 9 times in Thursday night. I know we have a third string right guard in. I know we have a backup left tackle, and I also know Marcus holds the ball too long sometimes and does not throw it. I think he's scared to make mistakes at this point. I think he's nervous, which is ridiculous. I've talked about that. I don't think I'm not going to be out on him until we miss the playoffs, which was, I guess, another pop-up mailbag for us. We can all hit that real quick.
Hit it real quick. What we got?
We
Who's
have
it from? Who's it from?
Jackson.
Jackson Stubner? Yeah?
No. Jackson Jarvis.
Oh, Jackson Jarvis. We got to read Jackson Stubner's question later in the mailbag segment. But Jackson Jarvis, what you got
All
for
right.
us?
We have, will the Titans draft a QB this year if they don't make the playoffs with Mariota?
We all just looked at each other.
And for those of you who don't know, why this is a hard question to answer is because Marcus Mariota's contract is up at the end of the year. So we really have to make the big decision on, hey, do we spend the money on the dude or do we just say, hey, bye? But the problem with that is that, the quarterback class this year, Not great, but will we even get a chance to pick up one of these guys?
That was my thing. I mean, hopefully that question just says miss the playoffs. Really good question, but it's so dependent on what the record is, I guess. If we go in, y'all just want to say if we go another 9-7 and miss the playoffs by a game, like it's different than going like 2-14 or something. Like we'll obviously get a quarterback then, but like if we have a solid season and miss the playoffs by a game or two, like I think it's probably time.
I mean, I even think a 9-7 season's a disappointment, but at this point in our season, it might be our ceiling. But I think, if we miss the playoffs and we don't think we'll have a high enough draft pick, maybe franchise tag him. Well, it's not even about our record. It's about it's hard to say. You have to watch the games. You have to see how he does. If he balls out, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. If he balls out and we don't make the playoffs, sign him.
I think it's also hard because you're stuck between the question of QB draft class in college, money, and can we like ride with Tannehill and like a crappy backup if we don't even like Marcus for a year? Like if we wanted to try and go for a guy like Trevor Lawrence, but at the same time, Fromm's gonna be in the draft class this year.
Justin Herbert,
Joe Burrow.
Jalen Hurts.
Hey, dark horse, Jacob Eason. Jacob Eason. The next Matthew Stafford. I'll take him.
What about Oregon's quarterback?
Herbert.
Herbert. You just said yeah.
But honestly, what we were talking about, and we saw that this week with Kyle Allen, which isn't really a move on, but Daniel Jones, Lamar Jackson, plenty of more teams. Me and Griffin were watching something this week, and they were like, Coward, yeah. He said every team that's pulled the trigger and moved on to a young guy, they're all happy right now. They might not all be happy in 2 years, but Kyler, I mean, they're happy. They know it's going to take them a little bit, but
and that was even a harder trigger to pull.
Yeah, I mean you're drafting a 5'10" at most guy and hiring a new head coach just for him, and I don't know. So everybody else has been happy for moving on and just finally doing it, but we'll see. It's too early to answer for me to answer your question.
I think it's a little too early, and what Steve Smith said on after Thursday night this game, I mean. Yeah, they talked about how so much of this from Matt LaFleur's offensive coordinator carrying over to Arthur Smith. People all offseason talked about how the verbiage was going to be the same, so Marcus wouldn't have to learn that much new information and that stuff. But he's had 5 offensive coordinators in 5 years. Like, I don't want to make excuses for him because he's definitely missed throws. He makes mistakes just like any other player, but he's had 5 offensive coordinators in every season. Like, I just don't understand how anybody can be good when you're consistently changing the verbiage. Like a slant is called one thing one year, and the next year it's called another thing.
It's
and
like
it's called
5 foreign languages every.
Like a slant is called 5 different names in 5 years. It seems hard for him to be good in that situation.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, and earlier I was making the reference of why that was harder to pull the trigger because of Josh Rosen. I mean, they literally had him for a year before they pulled the trigger, drafted him and traded him real quick.
Yeah,
I mean, using him as trade bait, I guess that's good. But man, I mean, whoa! If you guys are watching on the YouTube over there, we just TV kind of flipped out. Here we go. We're back. Training Camp Podcast. Throw it up. Yeah. So I mean, I think what you guys are really trying to get at is like, what do the Titans do next? And I just don't know if the best decision in the world is to get Mariota. So, what's next on the docket, guys? Do you want to talk about Jamil?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Jamil, our third string right guard. I know if y'all pay attention to Pro Football Focus, they give out like game grades for everybody on the field or like the important people on the field. And I know it's 1 to 100, but I've never seen one this low. Our right guard, Jamil Douglas, had a 12.4 rating against the Jags out of 100.
Oh. I don't even know what to say, dude.
So it's like
I've never seen a rating that low in my life. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. And it's like I know we have 2 100% better right guards than him injured right now, and Vrabel was talking about getting him back on the field this week and hopefully playing against the Falcons. But I think when Taylor Lewan comes back and we don't have a 12.4 at right guard, hopefully Marcus feels more comfortable back there because I know he's not even like I don't know. It's just like if you have no interceptions, it's like from the outside, someone will say like,
But he's
"Oh, he's
taking
doing
so
good."
many more
I'm saying, like,
sacks.
if you don't watch the games and you look at his stats, it's like, yeah, he's not throwing for a lot of yards, but he hasn't thrown a pick. But it's like he's not winning us games. He might not be losing us games by throwing picks, but he's just getting like he just holds onto the ball and gets sacked or throws
had-
a 2-yard out on
He
3rd
was
and
sacked
13.
9 times this past week.
Yeah, it's bad.
9 times. And listen, I know the Jags have a decent defense, but 9 times, and let's just say that 4 of those or 5 of those were the O-line's fault. You're still getting sacked 4 or 5 times because you can't read the field or can't read the pocket or try and step up in the pocket. And when there's no pocket there and then just get sacked. I know you can go off on that forever, Greg.
I mean, yeah, I won't go off on it too bad. It's just so frustrating to me when I watch him. And, I mean, yes, the O-line, we got a third-string right guard in who had a 12.4 rating, all that jazz. Dennis Kelly's in at left tackle. The O-line's not fantastic, but some of these sacks that he's taking, it's so frustrating to watch because he literally will have 3 or 4 seconds, whole seconds to throw the ball, which in the NFL, if you have 3 or 4
forever.
seconds, like whole seconds,
Is forever.
that's a long. You should be able to make a read and throw the ball, or
Yeah.
if not, throw it away if no one's open.
Yeah.
But he'll have it for 3 to 5 seconds, and then he's looking around at the pocket, thinking, "Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do," and then just takes a sack. Like, oh my gosh, he's got it. His pocket presence has to improve. I'm sorry, I'm getting heated
No, you're
about this.
good.
One of y'all step in, but
I saw a stat today. It said Aaron Rodgers in his career has thrown 38 touchdown passes when he's had that he's had the ball in the pocket for 3 or more seconds, and Marcus has had 6 seconds at times, and he's still getting sacked. I don't know.
And guys, like I was watching a thing about Trevor Lawrence too, and like him. I mean, I know his pocket is as good as it gets, but they're doing stuff like it takes him like 2 seconds from the snap of the ball to get it out, and that's like high. I mean, that's not no peewee football either. Like I'm not saying it's the NFL, but I mean that he's playing against good teams, and he's reading the field well.
Yeah,
just like
I agree. Marcus,
how do you have a Heisman quarterback?
he's responsible for a lot of the sacks.
How do you have a Heisman quarterback and not be able to do well after your 5th year in your money year?
yeah, I mean, I think a little bit of it may be on the coaching. We're calling plays. We could get him some easier throws, but like you guys said, 5th-year quarterback, you shouldn't have to be worrying about, oh, let's get him some easy throws to start the game. Like, it's his 5th year. He should be able to make a 10-yard in or 10-yard out or something like that. But
Will, read me a mailbag question. Give me Stubner's question.
There we go.
I gotta shout him out. He's been
might have
writing
talked
in.
okay, no, we haven't talked about this. He said bigger hot seat, Vrabel or Pruitt.
We'll take about 2 minutes to answer this question. I don't know, man. I think it's man, this is tough. I think that it's tough to answer that question. Number one, because Pruitt is still taking on heat from Butch Jones's era, and I think it's tough to argue Vrabel because there hasn't been consistent leadership in that front office, and not in the front office, on the sideline. So I don't know. I can't really make anything out of that question.
Stubner, I'm glad you realized that it's scary the amount of similarities between the Titans and the Vols right now. I don't think either of them are in the hot seat, but it is weird. They're both kind of still teetering on the last coach's roster, the last coach's quarterback.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a seesaw.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like Big Brother. There's bigger targets in the house. It's like nobody's talking about the coaching. It's like people are talking about the line or the quarterback or the offensive coordinator. Like they're kind of like 3rd or 4th back in the line right now, so they're kind of hiding behind bigger targets. And I think they're both fine. I think they're both the guys for where they are. So sorry to not really answer your question, but I would say neither.
great answer. I think if I had to pick one, I'm going to say Pruitt. But I think, like y'all said, it's tough to tell. They're both just so young, and there's other things to look at. But if I have to pick one, I'm going to say Pruitt because there's been multiple times the Cleveland game for the Titans this season, the Patriots game for the Titans last season,
Eagles
game for the Titans last season. We got a big win, but I think a lot of times those big wins come by how well the game. You can tell that Vrabel instilled the game plan the week before because there's been multiple times we've had O linemen out, we've had Marcus out, we've had other people out, and we find a way to game plan around it and put our players in the best positions, and we go out and get the win. That hasn't happened the past 2 weeks. I understand that, but
I also think that it has to do too. Sorry to cut you off.
You're good.
I think it also has to do with as soon as the Titans have a big offensive game where everything starts clicking, we'll be able to make a judgment on that a little bit easier. I think, for example, the Vols haven't had a really like outstanding offensive game yet. I mean, maybe you can consider Chattanooga that. I mean, we shut them out. What was it, 45-0? Yeah.
No.
But no, right? But I think as soon as the Titans have a really good offensive game where we face a good defensive scheme and we actually like make good plays based on whatever's out on the field, I think we'll be able to answer that question a lot better. I mean, Arthur Smith isn't doing us any favors, but I don't think it's Vrabel's fault.
I think stuff's going to start clicking between Arthur Smith, Mariota, healthy line.
Let's hope so.
I think we're going to turn it on. Like, it's a long season. 2 losses in an NFL season is not the end of the world. We're going to be all right. We're going to win the division. I'm going to win $390.
Will's going through the 4 stages of Titans fandom. Pissed off after the game. Realize your season's.
Are you going to have that like phase of dyslexia that you did at the beginning of the podcast where you're like, hey, man, 9-3? No, I'm sorry, I meant 3-9.
Will's going through the pissed off after we lose, thinking, it could be better, then thinking, we can get the win, and now thinking, we're going to the Super Bowl again.
Yeah.
Then just to get disappointed the next week. I hope not, but
I'm still feeling 10-6.
Let's talk about some hopeful feelings for the coming season. 10 days away. Griffin, what are we so psyched for right now?
Let's go, Preds, boys. The one team in Tennessee that will not disappoint us, hopefully, this season.
Hopefully won't disappoint us.
Everyone knock on wood right now. I apologize. Superstitious.
Hey, knock on wood if you're with me, baby.
Yeah. But, boys, the Preds season 10 days away. Jack, if you want to keep going on that.
I mean, it's looking good. Predators, 10 days away. Picked up our weak link. Duchesne's filling in. Cut PK Subban. All is good in the world. And Preds are 10 days away, and Duchesne really showing us early that he can get stuff done, and y'all want to elaborate.
Yeah, I don't know if you boys, the last preseason game wasn't televised, so we didn't get to see the highlights, but I was keeping up with it on Twitter if you guys were keeping up with it. Some of my family was at the game. Preds got the win against the Lightning 5-4 in overtime, and Duchesne actually scored the game-tying goal in regulation with 3 seconds left, and then it was Rem Pitlick, one of the young prospects that we have. Sticking in the overtime winner. Amazing to see Duchesne get the goal with 3 seconds left. Hopefully that can transfer into regular season.
The dude wants to be here.
Yeah, dude.
He loves it.
I agree. You guys can start going about this, but I was watching Duchesne's interview talking about the crowd, and if you guys saw pictures on Twitter of the crowd, it was pretty much sold out. That's what it looked like to me, And Duchesne in his post-game interview talked about how it was the biggest preseason crowd he's ever seen in his life, probably by double. But you guys go ahead on that.
I mean, I'm not going to say too much into it because it's still the preseason, and I want to kind of let the season kind of go on. I think we'll be able to really understand how the Preds are doing after those first 5 games. I think those first 5 games are huge. So we'll pick it up, but keeping it on the Preds, I want to hear from both of you. The 3 things that the Predators need to do in order to go back to the playoffs this year and to stay consistent in the playoffs. Will or Griffin, hit me with the 3 things that the Preds need to do, and I'll wrap it up.
Well, obviously, number 1, the power play. We've seen the potential line. I love the potential line with Jofa, Duchesne, and Roman, 4 forwards and a defenseman. I like that. Second thing, I think we need to shuffle around our top 6 forwards early, find who works the best together, find out what lines have the best chemistry, and really get them playing together for a solid stretch of the season. And, I mean, with hockey, I think we got to get hot at the right time. Yeah. I mean, it's the NHL. Anybody could win if they're hot late. I think we saw that last year a good bit.
I feel like Terry Crisp right now. What are your top 3 things that you...
The forward keys to the game.
The forward keys to the game.
All you bump.
I mean, you took the words literally right out of my mouth.
No, you're so right.
I completely agree with all 3 of those things you said. Power play has to, last in the league. When you look at our roster on paper, the power play should be in the top of the league, or at least middle tier of the league, not last. But if I had to pick 3, I'm going to say when we get to the playoffs, hopefully we do, Pekka, has got to have a good playoffs. Past 2 seasons, his playoffs have not been too hot. He definitely can do it. We've seen. 2, I'm going to say, I'm kind of talking individual guys here. I think Turris has got to step up.
Yep.
Last year, Turris, I mean, we brought him in to be a goal scorer. He did not do that for sure.
Yep.
We brought in Duchesne now. And then 3, I'm kind of piggybacking off Will's second one. I'd love to see the top 6 get shuffled around a little bit. I know Jofa. We know Johansson, Forsberg, Arvidsson. The Jofa line has chemistry. Let's figure out who Duchesne works well with. If you got to switch up Jofa, go for it. Whatever does best. But, I mean, see who has chemistry and don't just say Jofa has to be together. See who has the best chemistry. I think we can do it.
Dude, I was like, there's no way they're going to say this. But no, I was going to say the exact same thing. I think that after this last season, you cannot assume that Jofa is just this cement line anymore. I think if you're Lavi, you got to be aware that your guys, your top 6 forwards, like, they're good. And so are your centers now. Don't be afraid to switch them up. If you want to put Duchesne on that first line and throw Joey back, or if you want to put keep Forsberg on that second line but take RV down to second, like, you really got to shuffle around your forwards and your centers and find lines that work. Find a new Jofa, honestly. I am not opposed to Jofa working with each other still, but I think that you got to find what's best for the team, and that might not be Jofa. But I think you also have to stay healthy. I think the first one was you got to shuffle around and make the lines new. I think you got to start from scratch. Number 2, I think you got to stay healthy. That means Pekka. That means our D-men. That means our forwards. That means our centers. You got to stay healthy throughout the center. And number 3, I think what you saw especially when we made the playoff run, is that you have to have young guys step up in the right times too. I mean, you saw that with Sissons in the Ducks series in the playoffs last year.
Gaudreau.
Freddie G stepping up. I think you got to have those guys step up as well. Well, guys, we're wrapping up this podcast. You guys have anything else to say? Last second thoughts and maybe a shout out or two? I don't know. Hit me up.
I'll just say we appreciate all the listeners. Thank you guys for all the feedback. I know we keep saying this, but shoot us some questions. Shoot us your feedback. Watch our video on YouTube. This is the first podcast that is being recorded. Thank you to everybody listening. We appreciate all your support. Thanks. Will?
Yeah, ask us anything. I know a lot of girls don't want to hear us talk about sports all the time, and we've gotten a lot of
sports-related questions.
Yeah, and a lot of girls saying, I would listen, but it's just all about sports, and I don't really follow sports so much. Ask us anything. We'll answer. 3 honest college men's advice. We got you.
Hey. It can only go well, right?
Shout out Natty Ice, sponsor me.
Oh, man, you took the words right out of my mouth. But, guys, again, rate this podcast. If you guys are listening on Spotify, go hit us up with that follow. If you're listening on Apple, go rate us 5 stars. Y'all, last week we said, hey, we crossed the 200 viewer threshold, and I just want to thank you guys so much because at the time of this podcast getting recorded, we've hit 272 plays. We almost 50% increase. Is that right? 50%?
We gained 72.
We gained 72 over 200.
50.
It's like
33%.
Yeah.
That's a little shy of 50.
It's a little shy of 50. It's like 40. Come on. But hey, 72 plays in a week. We appreciate y'all so much. This has been something that we really didn't think was going to go all that far. And then, I mean, we're recording almost 5 hours worth of podcasting. So thank you guys so much for listening. Will, who is your sponsor?
One Day, Natty Ice.
Griffin, who you shouting out?
I'm shouting out Spittin' Chicklets podcast. They actually just had Roman Yossi on the most recent podcast, so all you Preds fans, go listen to it.
Y'all, thanks for listening. It's your boy Jaybeard. You can find me on Instagram at @the_Jaybeard. Hit Will up at It's Will's World with 2 Ds on the end. And Griffin at GBump17.
There you go.
Hey, I got it right for the first time. Guys, thank you so much for watching.
Peace.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.
And see ya.